Guten Tag zusammen. Heute ist der 18. Mai 2020. Wir machen die Vorlesung Projektmanagement und heute werden wir über verschiedene Themen sprechen, nämlich das erste Activity-Based Costing, in kurzer ABC. Okay, activity-based costing is a costing method that assigns indirect costs to activities and to the products based on each product's use of activities. Okay. Activity-based costing is based on the premise products consume activities, and activities consume resources. Okay, this is a definition. Activity-based costing assigns, for instance, manufacturing overhead costs to products in a more logical manner than traditional accounting. Of simply allocating costs on the basis of machine hours. Sorry. So, traditional accounting and activity-based costing, how do they work differently? An example: if you have one machine that runs, let's say, runtime 8 hours per shift, and you have an overhead cost of 100 euros per shift, then you get an overhead cost per runtime of 100 euros divided by 8 hours. Okay, this gives you, I don't know, 12 or something euros per hour. In activity-based, this is traditional accounting, okay? In activity-based costing, you also have a machine running 8 hours. And you also have an overhead cost of 100 euros per shift, but you know all the activities that have been done by the individual because you have the process, or as we say always, the value stream. And because we know the value stream, we know all the activities that have consumed resources throughout the 8 hours. So we can assign a cost to each activity. Okay. So we not only have the overhead cost, but we also have the overhead cost, which is the sum of the logistic cost plus the transport cost plus handling cost plus manufacturing cost plus bam, bam, bam. We know all the details. You can imagine that this is very difficult, okay? And because we know that, we can assign better the cost to each activity. That's why it's called activity-based costing, okay? As opposed to the traditional. So businesses have moved to adopt activity-based costing by a desire to improve costing accuracy. We have more details, so this is why we do it. We have more details, so we can have a better understanding of the costing structure. Mainly to get closer to the actual cost and true profitability of individual products and services. This helps us understand ABC helps understand better the cost structure. Okay. Any questions so far? Somebody have a question? Hier eine Frage. Ja, Lukas, warte mal. Ich gebe dir ganz kurz. Lukas. So, Lukas, bitte.
Hören Sie mich?
Ja.
Gut. Und zwar, ich wollte wissen, ob die Kosten werden dann ja im Endeffekt nur den Aktivitäten zugeordnet, richtig?
Ja.
Wie ist es dann mit Kosten, die außerhalb der Aktivitäten anfallen? Also zum Beispiel für die Maschine der Stellplatz, die Miete oder sowas?
Ja, das ist eine gute Frage. Die Kosten entstehen und die müssen verteilt werden. Und das ist die Problematik, die werden wir nachher ansprechen. Activity-Based Costing wird angestrebt von vielen Firmen und vielen Unternehmen, ist aber sehr schwierig und vor allem sehr teuer zu pflegen. Okay? Die Pflege der Daten ist essentiell. Du brauchst eine Flexibilität. Zum Beispiel SAP arbeitet mit ABC. Die Pflege der Daten ist essentiell und wenn du die Daten nicht pflegst, dann kriegst du auch Bullshit raus.
Okay, aber es ist grundsätzlich möglich, alle Kosten dann auf die Aktivitäten umzulegen.
Es ist theoretisch möglich, in der Praxis ist es sehr schwierig umzusetzen.
Okay, alles klar. Gut.
Also insofern, das ist jetzt erstmal die Theorie, aber ja, wenn ihr in der Praxis anfängt, es wird sehr schwierig sein, eine reine nach der Lehre ABC Kostenlegung oder Accounting-Modell für eure Prozesse dann sicherzustellen, weil die Prozesse ändern sich ständig, die Produkte ändern sich ständig, die Fabrik ändert sich ständig, ist dynamisch und. Und somit ist halt, es ist mehr ein Rahmenwerk, wo man halt sich dann anhalten kann, um auch das Bewusstsein zu erregen von den Mitarbeitern, dass alles, was man tut, halt Kohle kostet. Am Ende so, dass es ein bisschen was in der Praxis dann bleibt. Es ist eine gute Frage, ich kann die Frage aber nicht ganzheitlich beantworten. Also am Ende halt muss man halt Kosten verteilen. Zum Beispiel Miete, zum Beispiel Strom, zum Beispiel. Man kann natürlich hingehen und an jede Anlage halt einen Stromzähler machen und, weißt du, das geht alles. Aber wenn du es ad infinitum atomisierst, dann ist es extrem teuer, sowas zu pflegen. Und dann ist die Kostenrechnung halt nicht gegeben.
Okay, gut.
Ich habe zum Beispiel bei einem Automobilhersteller gesehen, wie man halt eine Anweisung, wie man die Nutzung von Klopapier halt regeln sollte. Also da gibt man halt Dinge, die vielleicht nicht so ganz viel Sinn machen.
Ja, also je mehr man im Endeffekt umrechnen möchte, desto kostenintensiver wird es für das Unternehmen.
Klar, je mehr Detail du haben willst, dann brauchst du Leute, die die Daten pflegen, brauchst du ein System, brauchst du bam. Und das kostet alles Geld. Okay. Also zum Beispiel die Umsetzung oder die Umstellung auf SAP. Das ist meistens eine gute Sache, wenn man halt das hat, aber bis man das dahin kommt, dann vergehen 5 Jahre und es kostet viele graue Haare und viel Kohle.
Ja.
Weil ohne richtige Datenpflege gibt es gar nichts. Okay. Ist eine gute Frage. Ich kann aber, gut, ich packe ein paar Dinge so an in der Erklärung, in der theoretischen Erklärung. In der Praxis ist das mit Vorsicht zu genießen. Okay?
Ja.
Okay, dann Radoslav, bitte. So.
Sie haben ja gesagt, zum Beispiel die Umstellung, wenn man SAP jetzt in einem Unternehmen nutzt, dauert die Umstellung 5 Jahre. Voll viele Unternehmen sagen allgemein immer, dass solche Umstellungen voll lang brauchen. Aber wieso brauchen solche Umstellungen so lange? Zum Beispiel in unserem Unternehmen haben wir eine Umstellung innerhalb von 2 Tagen oder so durchgeführt. Im Endeffekt macht man ja nicht viel.
Ja, es kommt darauf an, wie groß das Unternehmen ist, Radoslav.
Okay, also
ja,
das sind dann schon
war jetzt, keine Ahnung, ein Begriff. Aber wenn das Unternehmen international unterwegs ist, wenn die Daten nicht gepflegt sind, wenn du einen 5-Mann Betrieb hast, dann geht es schneller.
Okay.
Es kommt darauf an.
Okay, passt.
Ja, okay. So, weiter geht's.
Hallo, könnt ihr mich hören? Hallo, könnt ihr mich hören?
Ja, jetzt wieder. Ja, alles klar. Okay, Entschuldigung, ich weiß nicht, was passiert ist. Also Traditional Cost Accounting versus Activity-Based Costing. In Detail, was passiert hier? For example, consider a firm that manufactures automobile parts through a sequence of machine operations on a metal stock. Okay, so we have different machines. Machine 1, machine 2, machine N. Okay, and these parts are being produced so that at the end we have some metal parts. So let's say we have a door and we have an axis of a car and so on and so forth. Okay. So in such setting, traditional cost accounting views production costs as either direct cost or indirect cost. So traditional cost accounting is going to see cost as direct cost plus indirect cost. Okay. So sources of direct cost. Traditional direct cost for such firms are costs that they can assign to specific product units. Can be assigned to specific product units. In product manufacturing, these might include direct materials and direct labor cost. direct labor cost. These can include the cost for person minutes or person hours per product unit for running production machines. So what we had before in the example. Direct material cost might include costs per product unit for each metal stock. Fasteners, lubricants, and so on. Okay. So these are the sources of direct cost. Sources of indirect metal stock sind die Coils, die man halt hat, um dann die Türen auszustempeln aus der Schmiede, so zum Beispiel. Okay, ist eine Rolle aus Stahl. So wie eine Klopapierrolle, aber aus Stahl. Die Frage ist bereits beantwortet, Kim. Sources of indirect cost. Das ist einfach die Kosten vom Bestand. Okay, ist die Frage beantwortet? Radoslav und Kim? So, Metal Stock ist zum Beispiel eine Rolle aus Stahl, die man dann ausstempelt und daraus wird eine Tür. Oder ein Stück Produkt. Fasteners. Ein Fastener ist ein Material, zum Beispiel Schrauben oder das Material, die ich dann nutze für das Assembly. Für die Assembly von dem Produkt oder für die Montage von dem Produkt. Alles klar. So, sources of indirect cost. Traditionally, indirect costs for such terms are manufacturing overhead expenses. Traditionally, these are manufacturing overhead expenses. They cannot assign directly to specific product units. Das ist die Frage vorher von dem Lukas. Okay. Was machen wir mit diesen Kosten? Instead they allocate these costs to specific production runs, batches, or time periods. This indirect costs might include material purchase order costs. Ihr könnt euch erinnern, ganz am Anfang, in dem letzten Semester haben wir uns ein Modell angeguckt, die sowas modelliert hat, okay? Wie viele Kosten dann entstanden sind. Also firms typically do not order materials for each product unit, but instead for entire batch runs. Order cost associated for ordering batches. Wenn ich bei Amazon 100 Bücher bestelle und liefern lasse, hat nicht die gleichen Lieferkosten, wie wenn ich 100 Mal ein Buch liefern lasse. Okay? They might also include order supplies to cover a specific time span. Ich bestelle zum Beispiel Material für eine Woche, okay? Man kann auch über Machine Setup Cost reden. Rüstkosten, okay? Setup of production machines. For each product unit. Ihr könnt euch erinnern, wir haben den EPI ausgerechnet und je kleiner der EPI, desto besser, desto mehr Flexibilität, aber desto teurer wird das Ganze für das Unternehmen. They are set up instead of the production run of each product model. Oder Product Packaging Cost. Und das spricht von alleine, dass mehrere product cost associated with packaging. Deshalb fragt Amazon, ob ich mir alles in einem Paket liefern lassen will oder eins nach dem anderen, je nach Verfügbarkeit. Machine testing and calibration after each changeover. or setup, we have to calibrate. There are going to be losses in production time. These all are costs associated. Okay, I cannot associate it for each product unit. Or also maintenance, machine maintenance, or cleaning costs. The list is very, very, very long. Okay. So in ABC, the direct costs are allocated as done in traditional method. It's only the overhead is done in a different way. But we will talk about this. So yes, we can say, Radoslav, that all these costs are costs. We are talking only about cost. The question is, how do we allocate them and how do we do the accounting? We cannot allocate it to a specific product. We're not talking about the process, we're talking about the product. It cannot be directly allocated to the product, not to the process. Okay, we make a little break, 5–10 minutes, and then I send you another invitation. As I said before, in activity-based costing, the direct cost are allocated as in traditional accounting. It is only that indirect costs are allocated differently. And the question is how? And we're going to see this with an example. Okay. In order to see how, we're going to see it with an example. Let's examine example. Let's examine the concept of activity-based costing by looking at a facility with two processes. And this is important. Please pay attention. We are looking at each process. So when you do activity-based costing, you need to have information about the process. Otherwise, forget it. Okay, the two processes or activities are: one, the setting up of a production machine, for running batches of products, prepare the machine to run a product, and the actual production of the products. So we have two processes that we know and we want to analyze with ABC. We assume following information is known. Total annual manufacturing cost, manufacturing overhead is 2 million euro. Of which 200k euro is directly involved in the setup of machines. 3, the company expect 400 setup processes. We also assume that batches vary considerably and are constant. The cost is constant for all machines, are equally cost intensive. And we assume that the remaining 1.8 million euro is associated to production activities. Is associated to production activities that correlate with the company 100,000 machine hours. To 100k machine hours. Machine hours. Okay. So these are the data. And let's look at how this all affects our accounting process, okay? So for our simple 2 activity example, let's see how the rates for allocating the manufacturing overhead would look with activity-based costing and without activity-based costing. Good. So 1, let's say, is this overhead machine setup costs with ABC and without. ABC. With ABC, we have here 200,000. Without ABC, we have 0 because we cannot allocate it. Second activity, number of setups. With ABC, we have 400. Without ABC, it's not applicable because we don't know. We don't have an ABC information, so we don't know. Third activity, manufacturing. Overhead. Setup cost per batch. So we divide 200,000 between 400 and we have 500 euro per batch. Here we are just dividing this and this, okay? And here it's not applicable, so 0 euro per batch, we don't know. Four, total manufacturing overhead cost, 2 million euro. Here we know 2 million euro. Okay. Less costs, trace it to machine hours. Well, here we have 2 million euro as well. And here we have 0. 6, overhead cost, 2 machine hours. Here we have 1.8 euro, 1.8 million euro. Here we still have 2 million euro. Seven, total machine hours, 100K euro. Sorry, 100,000. 100,000. 8. This is given. Manufacturing overhead cost per machine hours. This is 18 euro because it's 100,000 divided 1.8 million euro divided by 100,000, and this is 20 euro. So you see here there is a delta because we do not have the information on number 6 of the overhead cost machine hours. In the traditional accounting, we have already a delta, and this is going to be relevant. And 9, manufacturing overhead and cost allocation. €500 set up cost per batch plus 18 euro per machine hour. And here only 20 euro per machine hour. Okay. We add up number 3 and number 8. Okay, let's say here this is 3 plus 8. Okay, so this is the cost. This is the accounting. Accounting. And what is the impact of the different method? And I hope what is the impact of the different method? Counting. Well, so far, any questions? Okay, so if there are no questions, let's see what impact these different allocation techniques and overhead rates would have on the per unit cost of specific unit of output. Impact on the cost per unit. So Florian has some question. Well, number 8 is dividing 6 divided by 7, okay? So if you divide 6 by 7, then you get 18 on one and 20 on the other. Okay. So what is the impact on the cost per unit? Accounting. And of course, if you have a different accounting, then you will going to put a price that is different for your customer, okay? So assume that a company manufactures a batch of 5,000 units. Assume the batch is 5,000 units. And it produces 50 units per machine hour. 50 units per machine hour. Here is how the cost assigned to the units with the activity-based costing and without activity-based costing compares. So the list is the same, okay? I'm not going to repeat the list because it's the same. Number 1. The item is manufacturing. I'm going to write MFG, manufacturing. Overhead, setup, cost per batch, with and without, okay? Activity-based costing. Here it's going to be $500 or euros, and here is going to be €0. Why? We have 5,000 units per batch, okay? And 50 units per machine hour. So the manufacturing overhead setup cost per batch is going to be the manufacturing overhead cost. Manufacturing overhead setup cost per batch is going to be number 3 as before, okay? This is the same as number 3 before. Number 2, number of units in the batch. This is given is 50,000. Here we cannot, it's not applicable. We don't know. Number 3, manufacturing overhead cost by setup per unit. This is 0.01 euro, and this is not applicable because we don't know. Number 4, manufacturing overhead cost per cost per machine hour, 18 euro, 20 euro as before, okay? Number 5, number of units produced per machine hour, 50. This is given. Manufacturing overhead cost by production unit, 0.36 and 0.40 euro. This is of course number 4 divided by number 5. And number 7 is the total manufacturing cost overhead allocated per unit. This is 0.46 euro and this is 0.40 per euro. Okay. So this is of course number 3 plus number 6. So if a company manufactures a batch of 50,000 units and produces 50 units per machine hour, we have a different picture. Sorry, this is 0.1. Okay. So any questions? Any questions? Anybody? Okay. So you have here examples of activity-based costing and what happens when we apply activity-based costing and traditional or without activity-based costing. And what you can remember is that with activity-based costing, we have a much better detail of what the cost per units are. The problem is that, or the difficulty is that we need a lot of detail about the process. Okay, and if we don't have detail about the process, then we cannot do activity-based costing. And this is going to cost a lot of money to create the database that allows us to run activity-based costing on our process and project management. Okay, any questions? Good. Then I will see you at 5:30 later on with more interesting information about project management. See you later. Bye-bye. So we shall continue now with our lecture with a concept called Prince 2, which is a project management methodology. It's a standard in the industry and you should be aware of it, okay? Prince 2 is a methodology with well-defined set of steps and we need to follow to take a project from its inception to closure. Okay. Was established by CCTA in 1989. The CCTA is a central computer and telecommunications agency in the UK. And this office has been renamed to OGC, Office of Government Commerce. This is not important. It is a flexible method that contains the essentials for managing successful projects, regardless of a type or scale. It includes seven principles 7 principles, themes or processes, and can be tailored to meet your specifications. So the key features of Prince2 are focus on continued business success. However, it's defined and we measure it with the KPIs. It has a defined organization structure for the project management team. Is a product based planning approach that emphasize on dividing the project into manageable and controllable stages, and flexibility that can be applied at a level appropriate to the project. Flexibility should be applied at the appropriate level. So Prince2 proposes a structured project management process framework with some principles, and this proposes 3 keys that a project should have. Okay, 1, and organize and controlled start. So, for example, plan before you start. And organized and control middle. Keep projects organize. And third, and organized and controlled end. When goal is achieved, close up and tidy up ends. Okay, this sounds I don't know, probably selbstverständlich, wie man sagt, ist aber nicht. Okay. So let's go step by step. Prince 2, 7 principles. Okay, this could be something for the exam, for instance. This lists. Number 1, continued business justification. There must be a justifiable reason to be running and managing the project. Sometimes you start a project, but in the middle, your project loses justification. So keep on track on that. Circumstances change, and then your project has no meaning at all. So you need to have always a justification. Second principle, learn from experience. The team always seeks and draws lessons learned from previous work. You remember one word I said before, yokoten kai, horizontal standardization. Remember that. Organizations know a lot, but they don't know that they know it. Radoslav, you have a question? What do you mean? You mean tidy up ends here? Yeah, tidy up ends is if stuff, if money has not been spent, or if you have not used all the resources, you need to make them free for next steps, or if you have not closed up all the loops, then you need to take care of that. Okay, that's what it means. If you have achieved your goal, then close up. So number 3, defined roles and responsibilities. the team, the project management team has a clear organizational structure that involves the right people in the right tasks. So put the people to do what they know to do at the time they need to do it. 4, manage by stages. Projects are planned monitored and controlled on a stage by stage basis. For instance, weekly. Remember what we have learned of the 2D CPNA with weekly cycle. This project life cycle is divided into a number of logical steps. Ich versuche alles aufzuschreiben. Ich weiß, es geht ein bisschen langsamer als wenn ich da, aber bitte um Verständnis. Es gibt manche Leute von euch, die nicht so mächtig sind im Englisch. Deshalb versuche ich alles aufzuschreiben, damit alles klar ist und ich niemanden verliere. Okay? Tut mir leid, wenn jemand denkt, dass es zu langsam geht. Ich mache es für diejenigen, die nicht so gut folgen können. Manage by exception is number 5. This means the team members are given enough amount of authority to effectively work and get the job done. Number 6, focus on products. Prince 2 project focus on the product definition, delivery, and quality requirements. Projects focus on product definition, delivery, and quality requirements. This is something we will talk about next week with an example, but probably you've heard of the magical triangle: quality, cost, delivery. Das Wort nach Projekt Fokus. Projects focus on product definition, delivery, and quality requirements. And number 7, and last, is tailor to suit the environment. So the process behind the project suits the organizational design within. Ready, better focus. Okay. Any questions? Okay, so now we talk about the 7. We talk about the 7 principles, and then now we talk about the 17 themes. So number 1, business case. Create and maintain a record of the business justification for the project. Okay. Number 2, organization. Define the individual roles and responsibilities of the project team. You see they're tied together, okay, the themes and the principles. Number 3, quality. Identify the quality requirements and measures and how the project will deliver them. Identify quality and requirements to achieve success. Remember the heat map from last week. We're talking business here, we're talking about KPIs. Define the KPIs. Number 4, plans. Make a plan to execute before you start. Number 5, the risk. Effectively identify the risk and opportunities that could impact the project. Maybe you've heard of SWOT analysis before. Number 6, change. Define how to act upon changes. So you need to have a routine to identify and react to changes. Number 7, progress. The ongoing availability and performance measures should be available. Think about shop floor management. All the tools we've seen, you've seen them before. So I've been preparing you for this, okay? The last couple of weeks. Okay, and the 7 processes for prints, which is the last point for today. Seven processes. The first one is starting the project. The second one is directing the project. The third one is initiating the project. Number 4, controlling the stage. Number 5, managing product delivery. Number 6, manage stage boundaries. And number 7, close the project. Okay. So as a conclusion, it can be said that Prince2 is a framework which provides a project management methodology to be adopted as a standard. Okay, it provides overall provides a project management standard. Okay? Any questions? Any questions? Good. Then if there are no more questions, I will upload all the content, as always, profh4.com. Please give feedback on the YouTube channel. Sehr wenige Leute machen das. Bitte macht das. Das ist relevant für später. Okay. Das Video wird hochgeladen in den nächsten paar Minuten und PDF kommt per E-Mail ebenso zu. Wenn Fragen sind, bitte fragen. Ansonsten hören wir uns nächste Woche. Bis dann. Ciao.